Hello and welcome to CSC 122 Intermediate C++. I'm your instructor Larry Schoenemann, and I'm going to be leading you through this. I am currently the Director of Engineering, including Software Engineering, for a wellness company downtown area in Chicago. Been developing software for over 30 years now, and I've been teaching for about 7 or 8. My background, I come from my bachelor's and master's is from Bradley University in Peoria. My master's had an emphasis on programming language theory and compiler construction. So, enough about me. Let's talk about course details. The course is going to run from 8/21 to the 11th of December. 8th of December is the last day to hand in any assignments, period. This is an entirely asynchronous class, no lectures. Watch the book, videos, read the books, and do the assignments. I do hold a regular Q&A session every Tuesday. After a while, a lot of people don't come to it, so I switch it to a on request. I am happy to schedule office hours with people if they need to get some help. Easiest way to get a hold of me is always email because I don't maintain a presence. So let's quickly go over the syllabus. First off, the first Q&A session will be Tuesday the 22nd at 5 p.m. 8/20 will be the last day to drop the class. This is supposed to be 11/20, sorry. 11/20 is the last day to withdraw. If you withdraw, you must drop the class with the registrar's office. A grade of W will go on your transcript, but won't affect your GPA. If you don't do this, you're going to get an F. The final exam turn-in date is 12/11. It'll be made available to you, I believe, on the 9th of the... So what is this course about? This is more advanced than 121. It takes an object-oriented approach and it introduces the design and implementation of larger scale problems. I really wouldn't say large scale problems because we're not going to get into that bit. It's also going to introduce you to data structures, including arrays, files, sets, pointers, lists, stacks, and queues. It'll introduce some ideas about verification and complexity. It builds on previous knowledge of searching and sorting to help introduce recursion, as well to give practical examples of complexity analysis. Requirements are you have to have 121 and some fundamental math skills. So, required material. C++, How to Program by Dietl and Dietl. The 10th online interactive version. I would definitely get this. It's got some great tooling. You can use whatever C++ compiler you want. Visual Studio. You can use MingW64 on Windows or G++ on Linux. You can use a C++ IDE like Visual Studio 2019 or 2022 or CLion from JetBrains. You can use Visual Studio Code, but configuring these IDEs is your responsibility. The software must be able to be compiled on a Linux C++ system, so keep that in mind. We will be using version control software, which will be explained in another video. We will be using Git, GitHub, and GitHub Classroom. This will help us manage and turn in our software, and it's the only way to turn in software to our class. If you try to turn in software by uploading it to Blackboard, I'm not even going to look at it, and you will get a 0 for that assignment, so keep that in mind. So, again, there are no exceptions to understanding Git. There are no exceptions and no other ways to turn things in. Okay, when you turn in an assignment, this is a pet peeve of mine. You must have this header. This header exactly as is, okay, except with your name and Harper ID replaced and, of course, the section number. The reason is because when using GitHub Classroom, I also use some other automated tools, and if you don't, I can't match them to you. Also, I must reiterate, when you create your GitHub ID, or your GitHub ID, have it relate to your name somehow, because otherwise things get much harder. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about grading. There are 2 exams plus 1 final. Exams are only 30% of your grade. Okay, only 30%. There are actually 18, not 19 programming assignments. They make up 70% of your grade. So obviously this is a class about programming, and that's where all of it's going to come. Grading will complete it as soon as possible after the grade is submitted, but I make no guarantees, so don't constantly bug me about it. All assignments are due on the date specified in the syllabus and in GitHub Classroom. They must be all handed in by 5 o'clock on December 8th 2023 for any credit whatsoever, if any still do. They must be submitted via GitHub and the outline process, which will be shown in a separate video. If you don't complete the full submission problem, even if the files are there, it won't be graded and you'll get a 0. So this is important. Follow instructions. If assignment is handed in late, the following penalty schedule will be used. If it's up to 2 days late, I give you a grace period, except on the last day in the class, the 8th. 3 days late, 20%. 4 days late, 50%. And after 5 days, no credit. These late periods and grace periods include weekends. You don't get a pass because it's Saturday. So here are some tips for you for a better grade. Hand in your assignments on time. Hand in your assignments on time. Make sure to include the proper header or else I won't know it's you. Use consistent code formatting. Comment well, but also make your code self-documenting. Use good variable and method names. For example, don't use a function named f for a function that computes a factorial. Call it factorial. Similar, don't use a variable called p for a position. Call it position. Don't mix library functionality with input-output code. So, for example, if you're writing a library to compute mathematical functions, you shouldn't have any print statements in there. You should call the function, and then your program should print the results. I do ding quite a few people on this sort of thing, so it's something to keep in mind, especially when we deal with data structures. When we think of data structures and libraries, we need to think of reusability. And if you put input and output in your reusable functions, they're not reusable in different types of projects. So here's the basic course breakdown. You can look at this in the syllabus, and that's the deal. It's pretty straightforward, and that's all there's to it.